in this video we're gonna set this UI, okay, UI Apple image and the text. Okay, whenever we collect, we increasing the current apples. Okay, we are keep tracking the current apples. So without further delay, let's dive into this topic. Okay, so what we're gonna do, head over to Apple Sprites. Okay, head over to Apple Sprites, fruits. I'm going to fruits. Okay, select the apple. Okay, select the apple and select single mode to multiple and pixel per unit to 16 and filter mode to point no filter and compression to none. Okay, and then hit apply and go over to sprite editor and then select automatic to grid by cell count and count how many columns and rows it has. It has 17 columns and all one row, and then slice it, and after slicing it hit apply. I already sliced it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag it to scene view. Okay, as you can see, so what we're going to do, we're going to add a collider, okay, for collision detection. Firstly, we're gonna rename this to apple and we're gonna make the UI, okay, with apple image. So we have to do it canvas. Okay, all of the UI elements should be in canvas. So what we're going to do first, we're gonna what we're gonna do, we're gonna add a collider to this apple. So add component and do add circle collider to t and adjust the radius of. So select the edit collider, okay, and adjust the radius like this much, I guess. Okay, and select is trigger to true, is trigger to true. Check this. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna make a script. Okay, we're gonna make a script which will keep track of how many apples we have collected and if we trigger it with the apple or not. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna head over to script folder. Okay, head over to script folder and right click create C# script. Okay, we will call this collectible, something like that, collectible, and hit enter. You can do it with player script as well, but for making things simple, I'm just creating another script. Double click it to open up in Visual Studio and you have to select the game object player and drag the collectible script to that game object add component. Okay, so just wait for to compile. Okay, so we need to use on trigger enter function. Okay, so just wait for to compile. Okay, which will keep track of which will detect if we triggering with the apple or not. So select the game object and add component. Okay, drag the collectible script to that game object and I'm gonna remove this. So I'm gonna double click it to open up in Visual Studio. So we're gonna remove this two function and start an update. We don't need this. Firstly, we're gonna keep track of how many apples we have. So we will call this public. Okay, public int, we will call this current apples. By default we will have zero apples. Okay, by default we will have zero apples. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna type the on trigger enter 2D function. Okay, this function is responsible for triggering if the player trigger with something. Okay, this function get triggered. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do if we're gonna check if other. Okay, if other dot tag, if it's equals to apple. So what we are doing, basically we are checking. So the firstly this function get triggered when we trigger with something, and if the game object whatever we trigger it with. Okay, if the game object has tag apple, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna debug.log, we're gonna print out the message. We're gonna say uh, current let's say we have collected apple, something like that. So we need to track we have collected apple. Okay, so what we're gonna do, control s on your keyboard and head over to unity. So we need to assign this apple to apple tag. Okay, and basically we didn't assign this. So what you need to do, select the apple. Okay, select the apple and go to inspector. Over there you can see the tag and click that and untagged. Okay, click that and then add tag and name. So what you can do, I'm going to explain. So go to Apple and select the tag, okay, and add tag, and name that tag to Apple and save it, and head over to again that game object and assign that tag to Apple tag. As you can see, I have assigned it. So if we trigger with this Apple, so that this function over here get will trigger, and this will trigger this line will print out on console, we have collected apples. Okay, so what we need to do, hit play, okay, and go to console. We can able to see if we trigger with this or collide with this apple, we will able to see that message in the console, we have collected apples, something like that. Okay, so if we just, as you can see, we have collected apples. So what we gonna do, if we trigger with this apple, we gonna destroy this apple. Okay, and we gonna also we're gonna increase the apple by 1 unit current apples. Okay, we're gonna add one apple. Okay, so overrides over here and then apply all, it will save in prefab as well. So what we're gonna do, we need to head over to script. Okay, so what we gonna do, we're gonna increase current apple by 1. Okay, plus equal 1 or plus plus. So if we trigger with that apple, so we will have one apple. Okay, basically we have one apple in the scene view, so we will have one apple. And then we're gonna destroy that game object, or we're gonna destroy the apple after triggering with it. So we're gonna do, we have to type this destroy function. Okay, then other dot game object, we have to pass the game object. Okay, firstly what we are doing, we have as we know, when the game start, it will have 0 apples, and whenever we trigger with that apple, okay, if the game object has apple tag, and so what we are doing, we are increasing by 1. Okay, so we will have one apple, and then we are destroying that apple. Okay, destroy we are going to that game object, and then we are destroying it. Okay, control s on your keyboard and head over to Unity. You will able to see that whenever we collide with this apple or trigger with this apple, we will have one apple, and then this apple will get destroyed. Okay, after colliding or triggering with it. So just wait for to compile it. As you can see, current apple, we have 0 apples in the collectible scripts. So if we hit play, we will able to see that the apple will destroy after triggering with it. The player, if the player trigger with that function on trigger into 2D function get called. Okay, so if we, as you can see, the apple get destroyed and we have current apples 1. So instead of print showing it here, we're gonna show in the canvas or in the UI. So what we're gonna do, firstly we're gonna create an image of apple. So what we need to do, that is a UI element, so we need to select the canvas. Okay, select the canvas. If you haven't created the canvas, just go to hierarchy, right, hit the plus icon, then UI, then canvas. Okay, and then select the canvas scaler over here. Canvas scaler, select constant pixel size to scale with screen size, and select the x 1920 y 1080. Okay, after doing that, select the canvas and F to focus on. Okay, so right click on that canvas and go to UI and then image. Okay, image. So what we're gonna do, in the image component, as you can see, this is a none sprite. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna replace this by our apple image. So we need to head over to sprites folder, apple. Okay, we need to find the apple. We're gonna drag, so drag the first one and drag it to this slot none sprite. Okay, as you can see, as you can see, the apple is too small. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna doing set native site. Okay, it will make the size of apple. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put it in the left, in the top left. So what we need to do, go to react transform of this image. Okay, click on this. Okay, click on this and hold down on and hold down alt and select this one, left top one, and drag it down. Okay, drag it down. Now we have your apple UI. So we also need to make the text. Okay, we're gonna keep track of how many apples we have. okay, we're gonna keep track of in the UI. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna create another text of Apple text. So right click on the canvas, okay, right click on the canvas, go to UI and then legacy and then text, okay. We will call this Apple text, something like that, okay, Apple txt, okay, Apple txt. And what we gonna do, we're gonna resize this, okay. Left mouse button and hold down alt on your keyboard, so it will resize from the center, okay. As you can see, we not able to see, so go to color field, okay, make it white, okay, make it white, and font size to select 100, okay. And then font style to select bold, and then say alignment to select center and center. I'll select the left one for the first, okay. And drag, what we're gonna do, select the go to rag transform and select this one and hold down on, okay, and select this one, so it will resize with the screen, okay. If we shrink down the screen, as you can see, the text also shrinking down, and that image, Apple image, also shrinking down because we have selected that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna drag it over here, okay. Firstly, we will have 0 apples, as we know when the game starts, so we're gonna put 0, by the way, okay, 0. And we're gonna make the font size a little bit large, okay, like 120, okay, 120, and move it over here. So what we're gonna do, we need this tax reference, okay, we need this tax, as we now, then we can set up 1, then 2, if we collect the apple, then 3, then 4, okay. So what we need this tax reference, then we can set the value over here. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to player script and collectible script, we will create an empty text field, okay. And then we're gonna drag this text, so we will have link up of this text, okay. So what we're gonna do, double click it to open up the script once again. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna create, okay, public text. So using text is a UI element. So what we need to include using Unity engine, okay, using Unity engine dot UI, okay, using Unity engine dot UI, we have to use this namespace, okay, to access the text. So we will call this one Apple text txt, something like that, okay. And control S on your keyboard and head over to Unity once again, okay. You will able to see in the collectible script, we will have a text field, empty text field. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna drag the Apple text to that field, then we will have the link of the Apple text. Just wait for to compile, okay, just wait for to compile. As you can see, Apple txt field appear. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna drag the Apple text field to that field, okay. Now we have now we have this text. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to we're gonna do it update function, because we need to keep track of how many apples we have collected, so we need to keep track of each single frame. So we're gonna do it update function, and update function get called every single frame, so that's why. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do apple txt dot text, okay. Basically this means, okay, basically if we head over to again Unity, basically this means this text over here, this text, okay. Apple text dot text mean basically this text. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set, okay, we're gonna set equal to our current apples, okay, current apples, current apples. As you can see, the current apples, okay, this is an integer value, and the text over here is a string, okay. So we cannot able to convert it. So what we need to do, we need to convert this current apples to string. So dot to string, so it will be string. So by default we have, when we start the game, we will have current apple 0, okay. So the current apple will be 0, so the apple text over here will be 0. But whenever we trigger with that apple, okay, we are adding one current apple, so current apple becomes 1, okay. So the current apples over here becomes 1, so the text will be apple text dot text will be 1. so we are checking each frame, and control s on your keyboard, okay, and head over to Unity. You will able to see the change, okay. Basically we are setting this text to the to our current apples, okay, and current apples, whenever we collide or trigger with this apple, current apples get included one unit. So current apples becomes one, so the text over here becomes one because we directly set this text to that current apples. So if we play, okay, if we play, we will able to see the change, okay. Just wait for to compile, okay, just wait for to compile. And if we trigger with this apple, as you can see it's became one. So what we need to do now, we need to make this apple prefab, okay. This apple over in the game, so select the apple and if to focus on, okay. What we're gonna do, we're gonna make this prefab, okay. So we will have a copy of this object. So head over to prefab folder and drag the apple to that folder. If you haven't created the prefab folder, just go over to project assets and then right click, create folder and name that folder to prefab, okay, and drag there the apple prefab. So what we're gonna do, now we can drag from the prefab folder to the scene view as many times as we want. Let's say three apples, so the text over here will be 3, okay. So if we lost from the scene view or hierarchy, we have the prefabs, so we can restore it. So that's why we have to make we should make that prefab, okay. So if we now play, so over here as you can see 3 apples, so that whenever we get triggered with these apples, the text, okay, the text or the current apples over here, okay. If I select the player, I don't know where the player has gone. So if I select the player, okay, as you can see when the game start, we have current apples 0, okay. So if we trigger with one of them, as you can see current apples became 1, so the text over here becomes 1 because we directly set apple text dot text where